Hello and welcome back to Dukascopy TV. I'm Natalie MacDonald. Now, in continuing volatile economic times, Switzerland has maintained its image as a financial safe haven. But what is it really like to do business here? I'm joined now by Avensol's founder and CEO, Greg Stace. Greg, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Now, as of 2007, there were 160,000 businesses registered in Switzerland. But what are the pros and cons of conducting business here?
So it's a microclimate in a very big pond. So I would say the main advantages of Switzerland of doing business here is that the political environment is very safe. Things are not going to change in a hurry. The economic environment is very strong. There's a lot of strong customers. They pay on time. The laws are there. And it's a very business-friendly environment. So running a business in terms of cost of getting things set up, cost of capital, borrowing money, all those things are very good. So it's I would say, a very business-friendly, open environment. I think the negatives are, if it's in a protected Swiss part of the business, meaning things like restaurants or energy to a degree, there's not much competition. So it's quite expensive for the products, and there's not a deal of cutthroat competition where you can really get two businesses to compete against each other, because actually they're often working together because they have a very cozy deal. So I think that's certainly one of the tougher parts. And I guess it's a slightly conservative environment. So coming in with a new product, a new thing, will not always be well accepted or have a fast uptake.
Now, keeping on this theme of competitiveness, and in September of 2012, Switzerland was in fact named the most economically competitive country in the world for the 4th year running. That's according to the World Economic Forum. What in the energy market gives or doesn't in fact give Switzerland that competitive edge?
So I think the major factor that Switzerland has is its pump storage. So it's able to store power, buy it from France or Germany overnight, and then pump it up the Alps. And then during peak hour, or when it's expensive, push it back down. And that is a significant difference between them and every other supplier, pretty much except Austria, in Europe. So that gives it a major competitive edge from being able to mitigate all the ups and downs of the European network. I think the disadvantage is the fact that there are 26 cantons, there are 3,000 roughly local communities or municipalities, and about 600 energy companies with around about 8 major distributors. So you've got a really diversified, complicated energy market, and almost 100% government owned. So again, the competitive playing field in this is not so high. So I think major advantages: centralized, it's in the middle of the European network, it's a key player. Disadvantages: government owned, complex, and hasn't been able to kind of consolidate into these major players.
But you still have this disparity in focus almost between services and manufacturing. Can you expand on that a little bit for us?
So as a startup, what we discovered is the government is very good at giving solid subsidies or upfront cash or all sorts of support towards technology. And Switzerland is, after all, a technology country. That's a big driver towards what its exports are and what makes it so competitive. However, I would say and argue that services are a big factor to what Switzerland's important. I mean, look at private banking, and I would say insurance to a degree as well. So there is a big service industry here, and yet there's almost no support from the government for services. So it's a very biased towards one kind of direction. So I would say, as a technology startup, wow, this is the country to come to. It's truly amazing. A lot of support, a lot of government interaction with the private community, and to a degree support in funding. And for services, well, you're on your own. Your advantage is that your competitive playing field is not so large as other countries.
Greg, thank you very much for those comments. Now we're going to end on the Dukascopy question, whereby we ask our guests, if we were to give you $1 million US, which asset class would you place it into? So if we take a look at our options, we've got real estate, equity, bonds, gold, cash, and oil. So $1 million US for 1 year, where would you place it?
So I'd place it into cash, but I would have something called Kiva. Kiva is a microloan and you basically give it out to people around the world that have a project that is worthy, and then they pay it back with a small mid-sized interest rate for them, but very large for us. So I would allocate it there, and in theory I would get somewhere in the range of 5–10% return over that 1 year, and hopefully help out thousands and thousands of people towards creating their own dream.
Greg, thank you very much for your comments. Always great to have your insight.
Thank you.
We'll be back shortly with more exclusive interviews, so don't go away.